Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Dranitsaris. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in leadership circles these days. Leaders have undergone such a tremendous transformation, not necessarily caused by them over the past couple of decades, because of the authority they used to be able to use without question to get things done. And this is no longer possible. Leaders can no longer just show up, shout out orders, have people do what they're told without receiving some pushback and complaints about how this is inappropriate. The expectation now is that leaders empower their employees, and they become so afraid to actually tell their people what to do that they're not delivering expectations anymore. They're trying very hard to really embody this model that's being presented out there where leaders are everybody's friend. They collaborate, they cooperate, they're Mrs. Nice Gal and Mr. Nice Guy. But the reality is that more and more leaders, both men and women, are experiencing the imposter syndrome as a result. You know, the imposter syndrome, that sneaky little voice that tells you you're not good enough, you're not doing it right. And many leaders, because they're trying to be a good leader and not really developing up leadership competence, they put themselves in a very difficult position because what they do for one employee doesn't necessarily work for another. An employee that needs their expectations defined for them and works really well being told what to do is very different from an employee who wants the idea and wants to run with it and is willing to take responsibility for their outputs. So there is a crisis of confidence in leadership. Leaders are no longer these strong, confident people that we look up to because of the imposter syndrome. This has a detrimental effect on leaders and their organizations, and it's leaving leaders feeling stressed and anxious, unable to take on new challenges, and in many cases, unable to push back on employees or boundary employees and say, this is the way it must be done. I am the expert. This is the way it must be done to get the results that we're looking for. And because they're afraid to step up and lead here because of the imposter syndrome, they can fail to meet their potential, employees will fail to meet their potential, and the organization becomes really stagnant and not meeting their goals and objectivity. And furthermore, the imposter syndrome, it leads to indecisiveness, overly cautious. Am I doing it right? As opposed to, am I being effective as a leader based on what I know is right action for myself and employees to gain alignment and get to the end result that we want? There's also impulsive decision making that happens. And of course, all of these behaviors that come out of fear and insecurity, they have a negative impact on the work environment, leading to either permissive leadership or micromanagement. It hinders collaboration. It causes defensive attitudes and the inability to deal with some employee behavior and practices. I heard one of my clients the other day say, I'm having a really hard time with employee getting them to show up on time. They need to be here at 8:30, and some days they don't wander in until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, and you allow it? And he looked at me as if to say, you mean I don't have to? This is a sort of insecurity. Leaders no longer know what they are allowed to do, and they're not coming from their own inner authority of, all of this is my responsibility. I'm the one who is deciding. I'm the one who defines how things are done around here. And instead, they're giving themselves over to this more permissive approach to leadership. And so there's all kinds of problems that organizations are having just in terms of getting things done in a timely fashion that they have never done before, because they've got a bunch of imposters who are working as leaders. They are worst thing that leaders in the organization does is they don't look to see how we need to define leadership as a whole. They don't look to define the scope of authority and the consequences for what happens when an employee is insubordinate, when the employee decides, without having the authority to make that decision, that they want to do it differently. And without consequences, there are absolutely no behavioral change. So what do we do about it? And imposter syndrome happens as a direct result of not building confidence and not building competence and allowing the voices in one's head, the stories that we tell ourselves about not good enough, the doubt we throw in about whether or not we can say something or not, it comes from there. And so it's a silent saboteur that ends up lurking around at all leadership levels. It hinders leadership effectiveness and organizational growth. So by dedicating time and resources to addressing this issue, organizations can actually not only improve their leadership team's performance and individuals' leadership performance, but it also fosters a healthier, more inclusive, innovative work environment where we're all working together to develop competence and to gain alignment. The benefits of tackling the imposter syndrome, they go beyond the ranks of leadership, contributing to overall success and longevity of the organization. And so what we're doing, instead of blaming the employees, is we're actually looking at strengthening leadership competence, confidence, and capability. These three things that all leaders need to develop, but not just a how-to, but garnering and developing more emotional intelligence. It all starts with self-awareness with leaders. When we're dealing with the imposter syndrome, they have to see how they are getting in their own way. And that's what we do in our Stuck to Powerful program for leaders. We provide participants with a deep understanding of their own self-limiting beliefs and automatic negative thoughts that keep them stuck in the imposter syndrome, not knowing how to lead and having to lead, but maybe spending more time in their office or just being permissive and letting people do whatever. Using our brain-based approach, we show leaders the exact actions to transform limitations into unstoppable success as leaders. And during the program, our leaders who participate in this program, they build self-awareness and learn the competencies. They actually develop competencies at dealing with people, resolving issues, resolving conflict, and recognizing when they're afraid and they're going into self-protective behaviors themselves so that they can lead with power and authority. And this is a cognitive and practical approach that we take, getting each leader to build a personal, be powerful roadmap that moves them toward their leadership vision for themselves. For more information, to book a consultation with me to talk more about how I can help you in your organization be powerful and help your leaders be powerful, please contact me at info@caliberleadership.com. If you want more insights and information, hop over to our YouTube channel, Dranitsaris-Hilliard, for more tips and tools on how to power up your innate potential. Until next time, I'm Dr. Dranitsaris. Bye for now.